All right, we are live again. Session 4, no, 5. This is what happens when you do more than one live stream a day. Your brain's a little fried. This is actually session 5 today of the California Canvas Collaborative, where we are highlighting districts all across California and talking a little bit about their experiences with not only Canvas, but in their specific individual instance of doing a little here or there. This specifically is about elementary templates and middle school. Got a chance to meet all of these ladies just a few minutes ago, and just fantastic things happening there at Fruitvale School District in Bakersfield, California. I can't wait to see what they have in store. We don't talk a whole lot about elementary usage or middle school usage. I know templates make these a lot easier, so I'm just going to sit back, grab a little popcorn. I've got my water here, and just enjoy what they've got going on. Dr. Lisa Gilbert, why don't you introduce all of these fine folks at Fruitvale School District?
Thanks, Eddie. I really appreciate that. So, hey, good afternoon, everyone. As Eddie said, I'm Lisa Gilbert. I am Deputy Superintendent for Instructional Services at the Kern County Superintendent of Schools. So as a county office, we have truly invested in making sure that we are providing the support necessary for all of our 47 school districts to make sure that we have continued to provide a high quality education for our students, almost 200,000 students here in Kern County. So we are very proud today to get to have one of our outstanding districts share with you their journey about how they chose and have implemented the Canvas Learning Management System. The Fruitvale School District is a high-achieving kindergarten TK through 8th grade district. They have a little over 3,000 students. They have a long-held reputation of excellence. All 5 of their schools have been named California Distinguished Schools as an example. And that really is an example of the outstanding leadership and teaching staff and instructional team that they have there at Fruitvale. Today, they're going to be sharing with you the implementation process they followed to make sure that the use of Canvas across their district was successful and consistent. They did not go with Canvas during the first school closure. So during that spring of 2019, after they had done their own program, they reflected on that and thought, you know, we want to do a little bit more in terms of providing high quality and consistency in our instructional program. And so made a decision to join 31 of our districts here in Kern County that took this journey together in using the Canvas Learning Management System. So it is my pleasure to introduce their awesome team. I'm so excited they're here and you're going to learn so much from them. Leslie Garrison is the superintendent of Fruitvale School District. You also have Jennifer Mikatuk, who is the coordinator of curriculum and instruction, and Leslie named her their Canvas guru. You have Stephanie Garnett, the principal of Endeavor Elementary. And interestingly enough, she and Jennifer are both parents of students in the district as well. So they had that perspective. And then you also have Glennis Bourget, who is one of their junior high math experts, and actually joined our county office in developing 9 weeks of curriculum that were used across the state, actually. So thank you for being here and representing Kern County, Fruitvale, and take it away.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to be here. I can't speak highly enough about this team and our county office. Actually, their support was incredible. So they do need a shout out. Lisa's team is unbelievable. And we wouldn't even know about how Canvas would apply to the elementary if they weren't a part of our rollout. So thank you for doing that. So I want to share a little bit about Fruitvale School District quickly. We are an elementary school district. We are in Bakersfield, California. We have 4 elementaries and 1 junior high. But the interesting part about Fruitvale is that our demographics are changing rapidly. So we are now at 55.4% unduplicated pupil count. Over 50% of our students are socioeconomically disadvantaged, and we have over 13% student with disabilities and only 6% ELD, and we're roughly almost half and half white, Hispanic, and then a mix of all other ethnicities. So as Lisa said, we do have high performance history. In fact, our mathematics has jumped up drastically. So yay, Glennis. So that's our old data, but we recognize through this experience, especially with school closures, that even the most high-performing schools are going to experience learning loss. So that was a great concern to us. And so Canvas helped us address that and still continues to help us address that. So today we are going to be talking about our lessons of how we rolled out Canvas and then how we created a district-wide consistency. And that was a goal of all of our leadership, that we wanted consistency throughout the district for everyone, teachers, students, and administrators. And so this was an extremely valuable tool for us. And as you can say, we did that through templates, modules, and then schedules. So in the spring, the reality was grim. We did our best in the midst of just sheer misunderstanding. We didn't know what was going to happen. And so we did our best to make sure that we ended the year strong, but we knew that something was missing. And we used 1,000 different platforms, and we had inconsistent time for synchronous learning, and some did a lot and some did less, and there was varying amounts of work assigned. And so ultimately, I think all school districts recognized that we needed to do better now that we knew what that looked like. And so we had a challenge also because we were rolling out a new student information system through the summer as well.
So based on our realities in the spring of 2020, we knew something needed to be done, and the decision was made to go ahead and to adopt Canvas as our learning management system for the next school year. That started in about May. We did an overview of Canvas for our district, and KCSOS put that on just to give us just a quick idea of what Canvas was like, what it would be like to work in Canvas. And then I started meeting with KCSOS staff and Canvas course designer to really look at what do we want our platform and what do we want our Canvas courses to look like. We knew that going into Canvas and creating a course for all of our teachers, it could be a daunting task. And so we knew that we wanted to provide them with a template so that they didn't have to just start from scratch. And we also knew, based on what our spring was like, that we needed consistency for our students and for the parents, for administrators, for everyone. So we wanted everyone using the same template for their courses. So after meeting with KCSOS staff and their Canvas designer, we created a template, and then we had teacher input. So we had grade levels of teachers who volunteered to meet, and we showed them what we had come up with, and they gave their input. We made changes based on their input, and then we spent the summer working on modifying and fine-tuning those templates to send out to teachers. We also continued doing summer Canvas training that was optional for our staff with KCSOS. They put out great Canvas trainings all summer long. They made the videos accessible even after they were finished. And so those were invaluable to us throughout the year. We also pushed out our Canvas courses early to teachers. So we had some teachers that were just ready to go and wanted to get a head start on creating their Canvas courses. And so we made those templates available early on so that if they wanted to get a head start, they could. And then we also recognized that our parents would need some training. So before school started, we did some parent trainings to introduce Canvas to our parents in English and in Spanish. We partnered with KCSOS again and did those trainings for them so that parents were familiar with Canvas as well as our teachers. So what was really important to us is that there was a consistent format. We used the courses that KCSOS and teachers in our county created as a model. We really liked the way that it looked. We felt like it was user-friendly. And so we created templates for our teachers that they could take and use right away. They wouldn't have to do any creating except just personalizing. But if they wanted to personalize it, then they had the option to do that as well. We know that to teachers, creating your classroom environment is very important, and some teachers spend a lot of time decorating and personalizing their classrooms, and they didn't have that this school year. And so we knew that they would want to create a personal environment for their students in their Canvas classroom, and so we allowed for that. So this is an example of what our 2nd grade through 8th grade template looks like. And you can see that there's highlighting and red X's, and that's just to let teachers know, delete this and personalize it. Here's what you need to add here. But everything stays the same as far as the wording. Here's our kindergarten to 1st grade template, actually TK to 1st grade template. It's a little more primary looking. One thing that our primary teacher said is, we need it very simple. And so we removed a lot of the list on the side. We removed the modules button for kids, so they didn't even have access to it. And we used a lot of the linking through buttons on our Canvas pages. So our primary teacher said, we just want a big button that says go. So that's what they got. They got a big button and it says go. I have a 1st grade daughter, and so I showed the template to her, and I said, okay, where do you go? So the first time she was like, oh, the arrow, I go to the arrow. So it was obvious that our kids were going to be able to navigate using this template. The other thing was that the home page for all grade levels was going to stay the same. If they wanted to personalize the colors of the buttons, if they wanted to change the buttons, teachers had the ability to do that, but the wording needed to stay the same, so that as a parent, if I go to my 3rd graders Canvas page, or I go to my 6th graders Canvas page, I know that the student is going to click the Start Learning button to get to their work for the week. So whether that looks like a green frog or a Bitmoji button or this button, it's all going to be the same. So all students would have the same home page. And then we did use the icons to link to pages as opposed to going through the modules in the sidebar. The other thing that we wanted was what we loved about Canvas was that it is a platform for everything that they needed. So they didn't have to go and open a brand new page to get to this site and a new page to get to this site. Everything is housed within Canvas, and we can link to those pages. And so we wanted easy Zoom access. We knew that the first day of school, kids just needed to get to Zoom. And so we created easy access for Zoom, and then we allowed teachers to personalize it. The other thing that they had once they clicked that Start Learning button was a clear learning plan for the week posted, so that kids and parents could see exactly what was coming up for the week. And then at the bottom of every page was a return to home button. It has a little house as the easy icon to remember that's where you go back to your home page. The other thing that we did for our teachers was how to set up this course. So on the home page, there was a link. You can go to this page and it tells you everything you need to do to get your Canvas course up and running and ready to go for the first day of school. And then the other thing that we noticed in the spring was that we had teachers who were still teaching like they had been in the classroom, but then we also had teachers that were just pushing out assignments. We needed some consistency, and we hadn't provided that for our teachers in the spring, and we needed to moving forward. So we provided some guidelines as to what it's going to look like when they Zoom and what their asynchronous work will look like. And we set up specific lesson templates for them as well. So even the modules would be provided for them in the courses that we pushed out to them. And it was consistent daily. They had a place to put their recorded Zoom session or their recorded lesson. They had a place to put their assignments. And then they had a finish page for the day. And we followed the CDE recommendations for the synchronous, asynchronous work time for those. The other great thing that we had, our teachers were on board with this. Even our special services teachers and providers were on board using Canvas. They recognized that if we as a whole district were moving to Canvas, they wanted to be a part of that as well. And so we created some courses for speech. We created courses for our OT. We created courses for counselors. So all of these people were creating their own Canvas courses and modifying them to fit their students' needs. which was really exciting to see that everyone was on board and it was working. The kids knew where to go and they had one platform to go to. All of our students were able to access Canvas for learning. We also had aides who had access. So we had instructional aides that had access, and then they could also help their students when they needed to with assignments. So as we started out, it was a big learning curve for our teachers, which was the whole reason behind providing these templates for our teachers. But there still needed to be a lot of support given. So we started with the first day back for teachers in August. We partnered with KCSOS and they provided 2 days of Canvas training for our teachers to give them an overview and kind of a how to get started. Plus we had access to all of those pre-recorded videos as well for more in-depth support. We also did office hours every afternoon for that first week back, just for troubleshooting and for help with specific issues. The other thing was I went out to school sites and help teachers in person. Sometimes it's just easier if you're in person. One of the things that we recognized was that we had teachers of all ability levels as far as technology goes. So you had some that took this and ran with it, and you had some that needed some extra support in this. And so we wanted to make sure that every teacher felt comfortable with this and every teacher was given the support that they needed to thrive and to succeed using Canvas. There were some teachers who started messaging me on a Sunday, and I thought, oh my gosh, our teachers are working on the weekend and I don't want them to wait until Monday. And so we did informal office hours even on Sunday afternoon. I figured if the teachers were working on a Sunday, then I was going to provide support for them anytime that they needed that. The other thing that really helped us a lot was site tech mentors. And so we had site tech mentors at each of our campuses to provide support for our teachers the first half of the school year. They were great. These were people who really from the beginning kind of rose up as Canvas adopters, early adopters, and they were running with it. And so they were very helpful to the sites. And it was much easier for teachers to go directly to them than to wait and get support from me or from someone else who wasn't at their site. We also did professional development throughout the school year. And every time we had one of our PD days, we highlighted Canvas tools using our tech mentors. And then we had parent support throughout the year as well. Through our district help desk, parents could put in a ticket and then we would call them back and provide support for them through Canvas. Glynis is going to talk more about collaborating in Canvas, but I do want to just mention that our teachers who really saw success early on in Canvas were the ones who were collaborating and using Commons to share the workload. And we found our TK team, they are awesome, and they did such a great job of sharing the work with each other. They took different parts of the lessons, they planned together. We saw through COVID and through all of this experience that district-wide, we have teachers coming together and planning together more than we ever have before. I would say that's been a blessing of this year. So we have grade level teachers who are dividing and conquering the work. And then our distance learning teachers actually share students across schools. And so they have created their own PLCs and are collaborating together.
And our administrators too, we really clung to each other and started to collaborate together, and it really strengthened our team through this challenging time. That's definitely been a blessing for us. With the consistency of Canvas platform, we knew that we needed to have a consistent schedule across our district. So we set Zoom times for all of our sites. Our elementary sites are 8 o'clock to 11:30 was live Zoom. And in the afternoons after 12:30 were office hours offered to students for individual time with their teachers. Teachers could set up small group work activities during that afternoon session. or they could run some of our Acadience testing. It was a variety of things in those office hours, but that consistency was key. We knew our parents were juggling multiple schedules with their work and their students at maybe at different sites or different districts if there are any high school students in the family. And so we knew that it was really important to maintain those schedules so that they could adapt or work within their realm to get their students on for those live Zooms, which were incredibly important for us. We had math E&L blocks that were protected in our master schedule at each site. And that was so the parents could anticipate what subject was coming up. Personally, I have a first grader and a kindergartner who started school this year, and it was started on Zoom through Canvas. So having that schedule was really nice for us to have the materials ready to go. We knew when math was coming up, and she had her materials lined up ready for her. And that was really important. Otherwise, you get stuck in a chaotic feeling where you don't have the papers that the teacher is asking for. So that just helped to support and bring us all together. Each grade level had a different schedule so that we could utilize our aids for support in our reading and intervention group, which you'll see here. The dark green was our a big push this year for us was a specific reading process where we focus on individual students' reading skills and needs, and we offer those individualized instructional groups based on those levels. And this schedule was incredibly important so that we could share our instructional aids across the grade levels to run smaller groups within these dedicated block times. And then we also had some groups would do tier 2 in our afternoons during office hours where they would pull back some students to do some repeat instruction. We had a lot of grade levels choose to do some of their ELD instruction in the afternoons, and that was a shared effort. So for example, our second grade team at my site decided that one teacher would take all of the ELD students in the afternoons, and they could very easily create a group on Canvas and pull those students together and run their instruction for that week. And then the next teacher would take the following week and so on. So we really maximized this block schedule and staying consistent so that we could share the workload with one another. All right, protected times, I touched on this a little. 5 days a week, that walk to learn time is what we're calling it. That's the reading instruction that is tiered towards our students' in levels of their skills and their needs. And the Canvas courses were created for the teachers, so we would make sure that the students were aligned with those groups. So an entire grade level has leveled their students. They would separate off during that walk to learn time. And so the intensive students would join a new course, and they would have their intensive instructor along with maybe an aide or two and run their reading instruction and then go back to their homeroom after their dedicated protected walk to learn time, getting that very intensive direct instruction geared toward their reading levels. Teachers and students and paraprofessionals connected through Zoom on those courses as well. And then in those courses, we were able to progress monitor our students, the intensive and strategic students, to make sure that they were making gains and to track their growth and to really monitor them to watch to be able to offer more support if they needed that, or to maybe even bump them up and offer some enrichment for students if they needed that as well. So with all of this, we were able to follow this walk to learn process to the best ability that we can through an online platform. And we saw growth across all of our students in distance learning and in person. It's very successful given some of the barriers. Thank you. The Canvas was very important, and I'm not sure if Jennifer got to touch on this a little bit, but our secretaries got really good on Canvas because they utilize this as a way to track attendance. And although students weren't required to be on the live Zooms daily, we still wanted them to be on Canvas and follow those weekly learning plans, to watch the teachers' recorded lessons. We wanted to make sure they were engaged in their learning, and Canvas allowed us that ability. So we were able to, as administrators, also jump in Zooms, do some walkthroughs, see our kids. That was incredibly important to me, to see their faces and say hello. We were able to observe teachers and see some outstanding activities that they were running on this electronic new platform that we've never done before. And teachers kept up our rigor. Fruitvale prides itself in offering a rigorous education, and it did not slow down. Once we got the flow of the Canvas, just like any first start of the school year, getting things in line, and that rigor just kept on. And it was amazing to watch. And I do believe that the collaboration with the teachers and the grade levels and then across the sites really helped to aid that so that we could continue doing what Fruitvale does. Support staff was able to push into courses and offer student support and teacher support. We had support staff going into multiple classes with our Walk to Learn groups. We had students that were receiving speech services, and they were able to jump in and offer that support through Canvas as well. And then, like our secretaries, we were able to do our attendance tracking. They would be able to pull the previous day's record to see who may not have logged in and make contact to check in on our students to make sure that they had all the support they needed from us. Some of them needed hotspots, and we were able to monitor that through Canvas usage. We were also able to monitor students, if they just logged into Canvas and were on for 5 minutes and logged off, we were able to address those as well, because you can see every page that they go to and how long they spend on those pages. So that was a really great advantage that we had. As a parent, obviously I had a little bit of an advantage because I was learning the platform before our other parents. But with me having to be a little bit more on campus, my husband had to learn Canvas as a parent without this advantage of getting it early. And so I saw him struggle a little with navigating, but it only took maybe a day or two. And once he found the connection between our kindergarten and our first grade students, and it was very easy. They were able to log in. He was able to direct them or redirect them if maybe they lost their space, which rarely happened. And after the live Zoom was over, we were able to go together, walk through that learning plan, click through the lessons, complete the activities, and it was just so streamlined. It was fairly simple to the point where, and by September, our 6-year-old and our 5-year-old were doing it a lot on their own. One of the greatest stories I have, and I would say the most exciting thing about Canvas for me with my personal student, my own child in first grade, he got to a point where he was asked to do a studio recording of a reading. And as you know, first grade is the beginning of that, building those reading skills. And he was a reluctant reader. So the assignment was to read this passage, but do it on studio recordings, which was a video recording. And then he'd have to hold the paper up, read his passage, and then push play and submit the assignment. Well, when he pushed play, he would watch himself read, and he didn't like it if he made a mistake or if he hesitated. And so he edited himself. He would redo it until he got a good recording to submit to his teacher. And that, as a former English teacher who knows the importance of editing, is probably the biggest gift that I have personally seen in my family for with the Canvas platform. It was beautiful. And then it was wonderful to hear from the teachers too. When they watched those studio recordings, they felt more connected to their students, which was really missing at the beginning of the school year. It was very easy to upload files to the students' pages. It's very simple to go to the file folder in the computer and simply upload it while you're in Canvas. And then some parents were able to set up personal accounts where they could directly communicate with their teachers. They could monitor their students' usage. They could check their students' assignments to see if it was submitted or not at all, or if it was submitted on time. And it was very easy for them to monitor their students as well. With a separate account, not having to log in as the student, but as a parent. So that was great too.
So as a teacher, I actually got started with Canvas a little early when the Kern County Superintendent of Schools was creating content back in the spring of 2020. So that allowed me a chance to get on and experiment with, in particular, creating content in the quiz feature, which as a math teacher really allowed me to see how you can creatively use those quiz features and assess student learning in some kind of creative ways. But once we started the fall, with my actual school and my actual students, I realized that there was a huge learning curve to implementing it daily. And that's where relying on the templates that were made it so much easier to focus exclusively on the content. As a teacher, we have a lot of expertise in how to create understanding with our students. And having that resource where I could take my content that I had already created and use the quiz feature allowed me to focus more on student learning and less on creating the class itself. the teachers that I was working with, we found that as we went through the school year, we really built our capacity. Because when we started out the school year, we were mostly having students upload pictures or videos or files. And throughout all the PD that the district was able to provide, we added on more and more tools, allowing more and more authentic engagement and more variety in how students could demonstrate their knowledge, which online is huge. It does take some creative planning, so that's where the collaboration was really, really important. Trying to do everything all at once proved to be really challenging. So taking the next upcoming weeks and dividing the work among a team made it so that we were able to create that rich content that was near the standard that we would expect normally, while also maintaining all of our other responsibilities. And so without that collaboration, we would have really struggled, but we were all in it together, and it was much more successful than I was anticipating. It was wonderful.
If I could jump in, I'm sorry, I know this wasn't planned, but I had teachers at my site who are continuing to use Canvas to this day, and we are in-person learning. These are in-person learning teachers because of the Commons. They love the lessons that are in there, and they continue to utilize them in their classrooms during live or in-person instruction. It's been great.
That's important to say, Stephanie, because the question is, now that we do have all of our students are back in person, are we going to continue to utilize Canvas? And when that question was posed to our staff, overwhelmingly they said, yes, please don't take it away. We like it and we want to continue to use it, because when parents need access at home, it's so nice to have everything the same. Whether you have a TK or an 8th grader, you're able to access that platform. So we are keeping it in our district. So thank you for mentioning that. Talking about mitigating learning loss, we recognize that no matter what, the closure of schools and having students outside of our touch created learning loss. And so we knew that we needed this even more as we continued to distance learn when we came back. So if you take a look at the next slide, you can see some of our data, which is powerful, that last year you can see that the green is previous school year and the blue is this school year. And so these students in kinder last year made great gains, and we were so excited, and we didn't get our end of the year data, unfortunately, because we closed schools, but I imagine it would have been beautiful. However, if you look at the next slide, this is very telling that now the blue students were the green students on the last slide, and we clearly had learning loss from kindergarten to 1st grade when we started assessing those students. Now, remember, those were done via the internet through Zoom online, but you can still see that we were able to mitigate some of that learning loss, and they were making great gains. On the next slide, this is a little bit of data just from this school year. We don't have our end of the year data yet, or it would be wonderful to see, but you can see that our goal is to have the red shrink and the green grow. And kindergarten, that's a little more difficult to do through a computer. 1st grade, we made gains. 2nd grade, we made gains. And then I believe the next slide has some 7th grade data, just giving you a taste of what's going on. We even did our local assessments with our 7th and 8th grade students, and we recognized a significant amount of need in our junior high. So we were able to address those as well. So Canvas does have an impact to our fall next year. And is this still me, Jennifer, or are you taking over this slide? Forgive me. Consistency while on distance learning to start the year. So next year, we're going to be keeping it. Like I said, again, teachers have voiced the desire to keep Canvas. But throughout the year, it's important to note that Canvas was our only consistency when we had to close, because we opened our campuses fairly quickly for our county. We were still in the red and seeing rises and spikes, but we opened for most of our students in the fall through October and November. But we recognized that there were going to be some hiccups. And so we did have classroom closures, and those classrooms just transferred right into distance learning very easily because they had already used Canvas. So Canvas continued, and it was a godsend for us to be able to have that available as we closed those classrooms for those 10 quarantine days and then brought them right back, and they did not miss a beat in their instruction. And that's our presentation. So this is us If any of you want to contact us, we'll be happy to answer your questions or share anything with you, but we're grateful to have had a moment to share our journey.
You guys, here's the deal. Don't say learning loss around these ladies, because that entire presentation was nothing but strategic leadership. Hold on just a second. Let me do something real quick. Take a screenshot and then just Photoshop me out at this point, because what is happening there at Fruitvale is pretty special. Not only was that a strategic rollout in the middle of a pandemic, but also doing it in a way that created the greatest impact for your learners. And then now thinking, okay, pandemic is, probably wrapping up shortly. Hopefully, we have our fingers crossed. We never know what's going to happen, but knowing that Canvas isn't going to go away, that this is a tool that we can use to enhance learning beyond virtual or remote options. Again, the screenshot should be happening now. These are the leaders, not only in California, but globally for strategic stuff. So let's go ahead and throw this back up, because I know there are going to be people that are like, how in the world do I get a hold of these folks? They just became Canvas celebrities in the Canvas world, which is fantastic. Right here, if you've got to get a hold of them, here are their contact information. Fantastic. Obviously, we're promoting the Canvas, the California Canvas Collaborative. So we're really excited to showcase that as well. Keep watching today. We have a number of sessions coming up. Ladies there in Fruitvale, thank you so much for doing, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being a part of the live stream today. We will continue the last session of the day for the California Canvas Collaborative. It's a favorite of mine. I'm not going to lie to you. Canvas Studio. I love the mention earlier. Stephanie, was that you that mentioned Canvas Studio? Woo! I have been a lifelong fan of Canvas Studio since the beginning, and I can't wait to talk more. The next session coming up at the top of the hour will be our last session of the day. So stay tuned. As always, Canvas fam, we appreciate you joining us. If you have any questions, reach out to the ladies here, and we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you again at the top of the hour.